Okay, so let's do the cluster 4 now. This cluster again is a cluster which is very, very close to the company secretary, because that is what he does day in and day out, board meetings and minutes, etc. And there will 100% be a question from this area. And when this cluster comes, he gets very excited. So sometimes he gets overboard and asks questions which really don't make sense. For example, once he had asked that, there are all those MCA 21, all these things. And once he had asked you have video conferencing facility. So the video conferencing facility, the videos got lost. What to do? That was a question. 4 marks. Correct? So like that, sometimes we can get those questions that has to be ignored. Apart from that, it's a good cluster. Can make sense, some sense out of it. Let's see. So cluster 4 is 173, 174, 175 predominantly, just 3 sections. But this cluster 4 is divided into 2 mini clusters. So one mini cluster is 173, 174, 175. 173 is board meeting, 174 is quorum, 175 is circular resolution. 173, 174, 175. Then it starts with the miscellaneous provisions like 176, then all the committees, 177, 178, audit committee, nomination remuneration committee. Then of course the 179, that is the powers of the board. Then 180, 181, 182, 183. So 180 is again we saw now powers of the board with certain restrictions. 181 is normal donation, charitable organization. 182 is political. 183 is your national defense fund. So all these things they keep asking in the exam. Then 184 we have already seen. So basically from here 173 to 183, around 10 sections. So one mini cluster is 173, 174, 175. Second mini cluster is the other thing. So today we need to finish this so that tomorrow we will be doing board your MD provisions. That is again one more deadly area. So that guarantee question. These are all 100%. In this 2 mini cluster, 1 mini cluster 100%. If you are lucky from both the mini clusters, 1 question will come. So I mean 1 each. So 2 questions generally, but if you are unlucky, then 1 question. But 1 question for sure, either in this or in that mini cluster. And cluster 5, guarantee question. There is no question on there is no company law paper without a question on MD provisions. Obviously, that is from 196 to 205. So 196 to 205 along with schedule 5. So tomorrow that will be our full discussion on that. And again we have to finish the cluster 6, your investigation, inspection, all those are heavy duty stuff, merger, amalgamation. But thankfully for all those things we have made the charts. So since we have made the charts for them, it's going to be easy. But nevertheless, these are all stuff that comes in the exam. Right. So let's see. Cluster 4, board meetings. Meetings of the board, section 173. So every company needs a board of directors, has to be a board of directors, and all board of directors have to mandatorily attend meetings, board meetings. So that is all this section is about. 173. So first mini cluster will do 173, 174, 175. So you have certain secretarial standards as well. Let's see that. Anyway. So accounting standards, are they mandatory or discretionary? So as far as standards are concerned, accounting standards, we have accounting standards. It is mandatory. If you see section 129, financial statement, there is one small line. Because of this only we are studying FR. Honestly, not kidding. Provided that the items contained in such financial statements shall be in accordance with the accounting standards. If this was may, then chartered accountant value into 50%. That's it. It would have gone down by 50%. One word. So our value is there because of this line. Shall be in accordance with accounting standards. So definitely under 129(1), because of the use of the word shall, it is mandatory. What about standards on auditing? Is it for a company anyways will not follow, but for the auditor, is it guideline in nature or mandatory? Is it guideline of ICAI or mandatory as per law? Is it guideline of ICAI which you have to follow as per CA Act, or is it mandatory as per Companies Act? Companies Act, CA Act. What do you think? What do you think? 143(3) talks about the duties, responsibilities, but you see 143. Every auditor shall comply with the auditing standards. So we have 143(9) shall. What about secretarial standards? We have three standards. SS1 talks about board meetings. SS2 talks about shareholders meetings. SS3 talks about dividend. Secretarial standards have to be followed by company secretary or company. Is it the audit of the, what do you say, company secretarial standards? You should do the audit of the secretarial practices in that, or the company only should follow? Like for example, the section does not talk anything about agenda. 173, 174, 175 when we discuss, we will see there is no concept of agenda. But should the company still have an agenda when giving a board meeting notice? That is given by SS1. That company should have an agenda, secretarial standard. So what I am saying is it mandatory or that is guideline in nature? This is not, secretarial standard is not like, standards on auditing as such. But this is what the generally company, what all they need to follow. And the secretarial auditor will say whether it is to be followed or not. But my question is, should they follow it or it's like guideline? These are some guideline nature where, okay, you can follow this, you can follow that. It's good, it's better if agenda is there. It's like that. What do you think? Guideline in nature is what the gut says. Right? Right, ulta. If you see 118 subsection 10. Yes. Every company shall observe secretarial standard with respect to general meeting and board meeting specified by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, constituted under Section 3 of Company Secretaries Act and approved as such by the CG. Answer. Shall. That's it. Which one? SS1, SS2, mandatory. 118 subsection 10. All the standards are mandatory. That's the reason why, though this section is 173, 174, 175, mini cluster, I should also read SS1, SS2, which means general meeting also is linked to board meeting in some way. They'll also ask in the exam, can they ask general meeting provisions? 100% yes. Can you say 118 is not part of syllabus? No. IPCC is included in CA final. CA final includes IPCC. Simple as that. Many times they have asked. They have asked once, the AGM cannot be held on a national holiday, but the board meeting can be held on a national holiday. On the other hand, the adjourned AGM can be held on a national holiday, but the board meeting cannot be held on a national holiday. Comment. 6 marks asked in the exam. So they can give, all that we'll discuss. So they can give in the exam all these points, right? SS1, SS2, which means section 96 to 100 also will automatically come in this mini cluster, whether we like it or not. So though it appears to be 173, 174, 175, we also have to study SS1, SS2 and 96 to 100. More than SS2, predominantly SS1. So is it a part of our syllabus? Yes. So should I quote SS1 while writing the answer? Yes. Even though the things are silent, even though act is silent, should I quote SS1? 100% yes. There is no concept of no in CA final. Right? It is yes. We need to obviously follow that as well. So though SS1, if you sit to study, that's some 300 pages only. So I have compiled it for you here. Up in the notes itself I have given in bold SS1. And for your revision, it is there in page number, let me tell you, 4.15. 4.15, 4.16, 4.17, 4.18 summary I have given of the secretarial standards for your revision. Correct? So you can check that out later. But anyway, most of the important points in that will be covered here only, no tension. So that is regarding the initial part. So though it appears to be just 3 sections, it is not so. We need to discuss. So now with that, let us now move into (173). Every company shall hold the first meeting of the board of directors within 30 days of the date of its incorporation, and thereafter hold a minimum of 4 meetings of its board of directors every year, in such a manner that not more than 120 days shall intervene between 2 consecutive meetings of the board. Provided that the central government may, by a notification, direct that the provisions of this subsection shall not apply in relation to any class or description of companies, or shall apply to such exceptions, modifications or conditions as may be specified in the notification. Then if you read 173.5 immediately, next. 173.1 should be read with 173.5. A one-person company, small company and dormant company shall be deemed to have complied with the provisions of this section if at least 1 meeting of the board of directors has been conducted in each half of a calendar year, and the gap between 2 meetings is not less than 90 days. Gap between 2 meetings is not less than how many days? 90 days. And for private companies, it is slightly. So what is it? One-person company, small company, dormant company shall be deemed to have complied with at least 1 meeting of the board has been conducted in each half of the calendar year. Correct? So in case of private companies, for subsection 5, the following shall be substituted. So in a one-person company, small company, dormant company and a private company, if such private company is a startup. So for startup also similar provisions. For startup also similar provisions will apply. What is a startup? We'll see later. We will see that later. It's there in the chart book. We'll discuss that, no problem. Now, what does it say? Here, every company shall hold its first meeting of the board within 30 days and hold a minimum of 4 meetings every year. Year is financial year or calendar year? Why? Why? Because financial year word, financial is not given. Year is not defined in the BER Act. I have to go to General Clause Act. And General Clause Act gives calendar months. And also in 173.5 also there is a slight hint anyway. Everywhere they say each half of a calendar year. So linking both, it should be calendar year. And apart from companies covered on 173.5, all other companies are covered here. So this has to be, you have to do that. So you see, Section 8 companies, there is difference slightly. 173.1 shall apply only to the extent that the board of directors of such company shall hold at least one meeting within every 6 calendar months. For Section 8 company, it is one meeting within every 6 calendar months. In case of an unlisted public company, that is SEZ, IFSC, so they shall hold the first meeting of the board within 60 days and thereafter hold at least one meeting of the board in each half of the calendar year. In each half of the calendar year. So to combine all these things, to make a chart, otherwise it's confusing. Anyway, I have made it. Right? So let's see the chart. A normal company, this is an important chart because from this questions will come for 4 marks. Normal company is one, that is 173. IFSC company is part of 173 itself, but slightly different. Section 8 company also is given there. OPC, SC and dormant company is given under 173.5. And of course the startup also, startup, dormant company, startup. A startup can never be public company. It is either a private company or a firm, partnership firm. So this is 462 exemption, section 462 ka exemption. So yes, now section 8, normal company, first board meeting when within 30 days of incorporation. And they say the gap between two meetings, maximum how many? 120 days. Correct? So for normal company, the gap between two board meetings will be 120 days. Gap between two board meetings, 120 days. This is given where? 173.1. 173.1. Right? Next. For IFSC company, whether it is private or unlisted, first board meeting should be held within 60 days. First board meeting shall be held within 60 days. And they say at least one meeting in each half of the calendar year. In each half of the calendar year. Well, if you see, there is this one. Central government by my notification direct that provisions of this subsection shall not apply in relation to such classes. So what are those classes? This only. So first board is 6 months and thereafter hold at least one meeting in each half of the calendar year. In each half of the calendar year, right? Next. Section 8 company. Section 8 company, what does it say? That also we have seen. Section 8 company here. First, yeah. Shall apply only to the extent that the board of directors shall hold at least one meeting every 6 calendar months. So one shall hold at least one meeting within every 6 calendar months. What is the difference between that and this, guys? Each half of a calendar year, it says here, one board meeting within every 6 calendar months. Can I say maximum gap between two board meetings in a Section 8 company is 6 months? Yes or no? What is the difference between, see, this company here, left one, normal company, gap should be maximum 120 days. Gap should be maximum 120. When I say exceptions, what are the exceptions? IFSC and Section 8. Are you getting my point? IFSC and Section 8. In IFSC it says each half of calendar year. Tell me one thing, can I have one meeting in Jan, other meeting in November? Coolly think. Don't jump. First meeting in Jan, second meeting in November. Yes. Why? Each half of calendar year. First calendar year is January to June. Second calendar month or 6 months is July to December. Correct? Exception, right? What is the exception to main? 120 days maximum gap is there, no? Here what is the gap? 6 months, 7 months, no problem. Correct? Each half of the calendar year. Can I have a meeting June 30th and July 10th? Yes, 100% yes. Possible. For which one? IFSC. On the other hand, Section 8 company, the wording say, within every 6 calendar months. Within every 6 calendar months you should have, it says. Which means at least one meeting within every 6 calendar months. Which means you cannot go beyond 6 months. So can I say the maximum gap is 6 months? Do you agree or not? Yes. So that's the slight difference. Now tell me, can a Section 8 company have one in January, one in November? Can it have? One in January, one in November? No. Got it? That's the slight interpretation difference. Correct? That's why maximum gap must be 6 calendar months. In what? Section 8 company. June and July anyway possible. Why? Is the maximum gap 6 months? No. Correct. That's the thing. So it says at least one. So you can have more than one. No problem. Got it? Which one? No. No. So 60. When that is not given, obviously you have to do it within 30 days. What will apply? Only the whatever contradictory provisions or conflicting provisions. Got it? That's the difference between the two. If you write here in the Section 8 company each of calendar year, wrong answer, 0. Correct? So you should write this only. At least one meeting within every 6 calendar months. One meeting within every 6 calendar months, which is nothing but maximum gap should be 6 calendar months. What about OPC SC dormant company startup 173.5? They also say one meeting every each half of calendar year. But there is one more extra point. Minimum gap between two meetings 90 days. Now tell me, can a OPC have it or can a dormant company have it June 30th, July 1st? No. Got it? Gap. So anything they can ask within this chart. Correct? So can an OPC, SC and dormant company have it on June 30th and 10th, July or something? No. Because the minimum gap must be 90. Minimum gap must be 90. How many meetings should a one-person company with one director have? Meeting himself. I am going to Coffee Day, board meeting. To do what? Meet myself. 4 times a year he should meet himself? Damn stupid. So that's why they have given this provision. In 5 only, right? Nothing contained in this subsection and in section 174 shall apply to one-person company in which there is only one director. For him, no meeting. Every day when he stands in front of the mirror, that's a board meeting. Yes? So, and 174 will not apply. So the board meeting provisions will actually not apply only to one-person company with one director. You can have OPC with 15 directors, already discussed. Can it go beyond 15 also? Yes, special resolution. But for one-person company, what special resolution? His resolution is unanimous. No, is there any special resolution for OPC? No. Correct? That's the thing. Gap between two meetings is not less than 90 days. Minimum gap 90. So that's why this chart is important. Each one is, it may appear to be very easy or it may appear to be very simple, but each one is different. Correct? Here maximum gap. Since maximum gap is 120, think about it. Maximum gap is 120 days. From Jan to December, I will not hold anything. Okay? In December, 28th December, 29th December, 30th December, 31st December. 4 meetings can I hold? this and this 1 day gap, 1 day gap, 1 day gap. Is there any problem here? Normal board meeting. No. From 20th December to previous one is a problem, because the gap is definitely more than 120 days. But I am saying second meeting, third meeting, fourth meeting, is there a problem? Is there a violation? There is a violation for sure. 20th, I am not talking about that. 29th, 30th, 31st. Is there a violation? No. Is there a violation? For 29th, 30th and 31st, as per the Act? No. That is where SS1 comes in. SS1 says, shut up and have one every quarter. That's the beauty of SS1. Now I need to read both and write. Basically, what should it have now? Quarterly meetings and what? 120 days maximum gap. Quarterly meetings and 120 days maximum gap. Can I have one meeting January 1st, second meeting June 30th? Though it is quarterly. Jan, Feb, March, one quarter, April, May, June, other quarter. Can I have 1st January and 30th June? No, gap is more than 120. Now you get both have to be followed. Both have to be followed. Got it? So that is the SS1. Check it out, SS1. .2 only I have given. In bold. Section 173, okay, fourth point. The board shall meet at least once every calendar quarter, with a maximum interval of 120 days between any two consecutive meetings of the board, such that at least 4 meetings are held in each calendar year. Each calendar year. Got it? So definitely there is a violation here. Because now you can't say this I will not apply, Companies Act is not followed. Companies Act is actually not followed, because you have not followed 118(10), where it is mandatory for you to follow secretarial standards. Every company shall observe Secretarial Standard 1, Secretarial Standard 2. Yeah, that I can do, no problem. That's fine. Now, carrying that question only, 1 second. Tell me. Come again. So, is it 4 months or is it 120 days? Is 1 month 30 days always? No. In the law, you cannot mix up what? Days and months. 120 days means 120 days. So if for 29 days are there, it will be counted as a day. Otherwise, it will not be counted. So you cannot say months. You cannot say 4 months gap. It should be days. Right? The gap between whenever I hold. So basically between Jan, February, March, I should hold it someday. Then April, May, June, I should hold it someday. From that day to the next meeting, in days I have to count. Maximum gap is how much? 120 days. Maximum gap 120 days. 31st March and 1st April, okay. But not 28, 29, 30th December. Within the quarter, cannot be done. Is it that I should hold only 4 or at least? At least. I can keep holding how many ever I want. Now tell me one thing, if I hold it here sometime, or rather I hold it nearer to March, maybe 30th March. No one came for that meeting. Meeting is adjourned. It goes to 3rd April or something. Can I say I have held the meeting in first quarter? No, forget about the second one. In the first meeting, first whatever this one, have I held it? Is there a violation of that calendar quarter? If the meeting is adjourned for want of quorum, quorum was not there, have I violated the section? Have I violated the section that I have not held, should I tell? Have I held or not held? What do you think? When I say holding the meeting, it's just not calling the meeting. It is validly holding the same, where people should come and discuss. There was an earlier section in the old law, 288 subsection 2. In 288 subsection 2, it said, if meeting was adjourned for want of quorum, then the section is not violated. If the meeting is adjourned for want of quorum, section is not violated. That section only was deleted. Means what? If the meeting is not held for want of quorum and it passes on to the next month, the section stands violated. Section stands violated. And I also told you the rule, the adjourned meeting is a continuation of the original meeting. The adjourned meeting and the original meeting should be held on the last date on which you ought to have held the meeting. It cannot go beyond that. There are many decisions favoring this. So, you can have as many adjournments as you want, doesn't matter. But it should be held within March only, in the first quarter. If you have held one meeting in Jan sometime, one meeting on 30th March sometime, then if you adjourn it to April, have I violated anything? No, because I have already held it. But in the April ka meeting, I have actually properly held it, no tension. Should I actually hold a meeting in the second quarter or already held? What do you think? All these are exam questions. We will say 4 meetings and go. These are the questions they'll ask. Answer. Got it? I've already held one. First quarter sorted. In the first quarter also I hold one more. 30th March, that gets adjourned. Should I hold one more meeting there or what? 100% yes. This is just a continuation of the previous meeting. Continuation of the previous meeting. So separate meeting has to be held here. If you don't hold it, then it is violative of the provisions. But here also I am violating because I am going beyond the date, correct? One violation is what? I am going beyond the date. Second violation, if I don't hold one more meeting in second quarter, one more violation. So rather what do I do? To have no violations, this adjourned meeting also should be held within this quarter and a brand new meeting should be held in the second quarter. Clear? But there is no violation as to not holding meeting. I have already held in the first quarter. That is not a violation. But second meeting violation, that's a violation. Then let's say one meeting is held, right? It has been adjourned 10 days. Next meeting is held here. This is the first one. This is adjourned. Second. The gap between adjourned and this should be 120 days. Or the gap between this and this is 120. One more question asked. I told you no, that fellow, company secretary, full excited. Only these questions I have to ask. What do you think? Or whatever I am discussing are all exam questions. Original or adjourned? Original or adjourned? Original. Yes, you are right. Yes. Fifth one. Check it out. Point number 5, SS1. right? An adjourned meeting being continuation of the original meeting. Interval period in such a case shall be counted from the date of the original meeting. See here 4.4 second question. What happens if board meeting could not be held within 120 days of the previous meeting for want of quorum? The saving clause under the 288(2) of the Companies Act, is it still available? No. Section stands violated. Because 288(2), the provisions are not repeated in the 2013 Act. So if the board meeting could not be held within 120 days of the previous meeting for want of quorum, there is no saving clause. Section stands violated. Should I give notice to interested director when he has clearly told that he will not come to the meeting? Is it good secretarial practice or as per law? As per law or good secretarial practice? If you write good secretarial practice and if it is wrong, it is wrong. Then law. And if law it's not there, then definitely 0. What is the answer? Where is it? As per law. Yes. Meet subsection 3. 173 subsection 3. Meeting of the board shall be called by giving not less than 7 days notice in writing. You can't call up and say, come off to meeting tomorrow. No. To litera legis, every director. Means what? Including interested. Alternate director is there. Should I give it original also, though is in a sabbatical? No secretarial practice. Every director means every director. Yes, everyone. I have to give it to everyone, including original. If he is in ICU, should I give? Yes. If he is in a coma, should I give? Yes. Every director, it has to be sent, without a doubt. Litera legis. Every director at his address registered with the company, and such notice shall be sent by hand delivery or by post. Nobody does that. Third one, electronic means, email. Not less than 7 days. Is it 7 plus 2 plus 2? What do you think? Yes, always. Same provisions. 7 plus 2 plus 2. Plus 2 what? Date of the meeting and date of the sending, and plus 2 if it is post. Otherwise 7 plus 2. Notice should be in writing. If I do not send a notice to some people or 1 or 2 directors, is that okay? Omission. Let's say general meeting, let's say board meeting. Omission can be inadvertence, means by mistake, accidental, or it can be willful. Board meeting also inadvertence, willful. What do you think? Omission, general meeting, board meeting. Inadvertence, willful. Inadvertence, willful. Answer. If I do not give notice, will it invalidate the meeting? Willful, yes. Inadvertence? Yes. So if I don't give, right? What about shareholder? Here only, see, subsection 3 you read, is there anything? Here they have spoken about shorter notice that you leave. I'm not talking about shorter notice, I'm talking about not giving notice. Not giving notice. 101 is the notice section of general meeting. And if I see 101 subsection 4, 101 subsection 4, what? Any accidental omission to give notice to or the non-receipt of such notice by any member or other person who is entitled to such notice for any meeting shall not invalidate the proceedings. Inadvertent omission shall not invalidate. Shall not invalidate as per 101 4. 4, sorry, 101 4. Willful? Yes. I sent to everybody shareholders meeting XYZ, I forgot. Xavier, Yamini, Zabiullah, XYZ names. I forgot. It's an outbox. I sent it, it's an outbox, it has not gone. Accidental omission. If I can prove it was accidental, no problem. But I didn't send it to Xavier, Yamini, Zabiullah. All three of them put together have 70% share capital in the company. Then, yes, there is something problematic. So that then it will invalidate the meeting. Done? Board meeting. Is there any saving clause like 1014? No. Hence, it will invalidate. It will invalidate the proceedings. Done? However, if I go and beg him, the company secretary, sir, please, I'm sorry, I could not send the send the notice, sorry, this happened, in writing, if he pardons, then no problem. Correct? In writing, if he forgoes that entire right of suit, etc., then no issues. So accidental omission will definitely done. Page number 4.3, point number 3. Where notice is not given but all directors attend the meeting without any objection. Without any objection, then no tension. Without any objection means what? Written objection. 4.3 it's there. Accidental omission to give notice, will it invalidate the meeting? Already answered, no? Will it invalidate the meeting? Yes. Compare GM and BM, already done. Refer chart. Which one? Whatever it is, man. The earlier there was a special provision for quorum only. That only is not there. Basically everything, you need to hold it. They'll say, boss, you should have planned it better, no? Why did you hold the meeting at 119th day? They'll tell that. Sorry? No, that cannot happen, man. Continuous calamities. Yeah, the thing is, yeah, if it is China, those things, then the government only will relax. If it's coronavirus, right, then obviously they'll relax. If that is the case. Correct. Now, tell me one thing, board meeting should be held in Jammu only. He cannot come. What I'm saying is, can you hold, your question is if the thing is in Jammu and Kashmir, right? Should I hold the board meeting only there? What if all the directors are in Jammu? The thing is, the lockdown was, they are not allowed to go out, detained for how long? Maybe for 10-15 days. After that, they just cut off the communication. That is your 4G network. Correct? That was mobile network. Internet was down, no problem. But you could still communicate through phone, whatever it is, normal phone you can do, no? Only the internet was, disconnected. That's it. So that those things are not at all thing. And moreover, you are allowed to travel out. Only these politicians were, detained. Umar Abdullah and all. Other fellows are around say traveling. And honestly, they exaggerate in Kashmir. Anyway, today I'll talk about that when we do 183. Yes. So if you see, that's the thing. So what is the answer for that? If it's a coronavirus sort of a scenario, then yes, I agree. 3 months, 4 months, quarantine everyone. What, in the quarantine will wear mask and do board meeting? No. But of course, if that calamity comes. But if it's an earthquake, they'll say, what were you doing for 119 days? Till the 119 day you pushed. No. But if it's an outbreak like that 3-4 months, then 100% government will say relaxation will be provided. Practical difficulty. So many times filing should have been done by 30 years. How many times extension? Government has the power to do all these things. Yes, that's the thing. Now coming to the concept of shorter notice. Less than 7 days can I do? Can I call, please come tomorrow only? Yes. You cannot have this 7 days thing always. Like, for example, VG Siddhartha of Cafe Coffee Day went to the river and he jumped. The driver was searching for him frantically. Immediately he called up one of the members of the board. If this issue goes to public that the managing director of a listed company is missing, what happens to the share price? What happened to the share price? It was some 180, it went down to 120, 60, 70, 40, 10, 20, right? That's the thing. So the thing is, you cannot let this issue out. It's a unpublished, price-sensitive information. If the driver who had some shares in Coffee Day, the moment he came to know VG Siddhartha is missing, if he had sold the shares, that is insider trading. Actually, not kidding. Technically speaking, because it's unpublished, price-sensitive information. So now, he'll tell the company secretary, it's missing, something is happening. Actually, after he was missing, some 2 days later, we all came to know. Correct? So, missing since day before yesterday, they told in the papers. So now tell me, during that interim period, we don't know what happened. And the next day we came to know he died. By now it was public knowledge. So it went to the company secretary. Company secretary, as per SS1, read with 173, 7 days notice should be given. 7 plus 2 plus 2, Aram se come next week. Can you do that? No. Share price will get tanked. I don't know who's the MD. It's a urgent matter. Can I call it immediately? Yes. So that is the shorter notice in circumstances of urgent necessity. It is here only in our proviso. Meeting of the board may be called at a shorter notice to transact urgent business, but they have a condition. At least one independent director, if any, shall be present at the meeting. Right? So shorter notice where company has ID. This is not the ID Chapati, ID Kerala Paratha, PC Mustafa's ID company, not that. Right? Where company has ID. That is what? Independent director. PC Mustafa from Kerala, minting money. Brilliant idea. Right? No one has the time to sit and cook now. No one has the time to sit and do those mixes. So everything is, ready-made. Almost a college dropout, minting money, PC Mustafa from Kerala, ID. Have you had ID, Chapati ID, Kerala Paratha, Coin Paratha? Have it sometime. Subject to the condition that at least one independent director, if any, shall be present at the meeting. So where company has independent director, what is the scene? At least one should be there. At least one should be present at the meeting. If that fellow didn't come, absence of independent director from such meeting. Mind you, this is not absence of independent director in the company. This is absence from independent director from such a meeting. Of the board, decisions taken at such a meeting shall be circulated to all the directors and shall be final only on ratification of by at least one independent director. So, if this fellow should be present. If not present, then circulate and ratified by at least one ID. What if the company does not need independent director as per law? Unlisted public company, PUC less than 10 crore or turnover less than 100 crore, right? Those things. And what? Borrowing is zero, borrowing is less than 50 crore. Private companies, then those companies, what do we do? Urgent matters of business. Act is silent. When act is silent, who will wake up? SS1. Correct? Check out. Here, page number 4.3. 4, point number 4. SS1 para number 1.3.11. All that need not remember. Obviously. SS1 you write. That's it. If no independent director is present, decisions taken at such a meeting shall be circulated. Okay, next one. In case there is no independent director, the decision shall be final only on ratification thereof by a majority of the directors of the company, unless such decisions are approved by the meeting itself by the majority of the directors. So what does it say here? In case there is no independent director, etc., then majority of directors. Majority of directors. Otherwise it will be ratified, it will be sent again, it will be ratified by majority of directors. So for example, if there are 10 directors, okay, and 8 came for the meeting. 8 came for the meeting. 5 said yes. 3 said no. Correct? It was a short notice, so the other 2 were had gone, couldn't attend somehow. They couldn't do the video conferencing also. 8 came. 5 said yes, 3 said no. Is the resolution passed? Majority? Present and voting? Wrong answer. Good morning. Yes. It is important to note that approval of majority of directors of the company is required and not majority of directors present in the meeting. These points only they will ask in the exam. No one will ask direct question ever. Correct? Means what? 6 out of 10 should say yes. So if 5 and 3 have told, it will be circulated again to remaining 2. In that one approval if they get, only then it is passed. So this is as per SS1. Majority of the directors of the company and not of those who are present and voting. Got it? This is a very easy cluster, but these hidden points are crazy. That's the reason. And they will never ask any direct question here. Never. Because this is the core area of the company secretary. His core subject is company law, first of all. In that core area, board meeting. Despite that, he'll ask some questions which are crazy. Voice recording got lost, what to do? Correct? Even suggested answers, B.S. Raman has written. Right? If you see, suggested answers also, all general answer. What will you write for those questions? Nothing can be done. Right? So, done. Done. That is regarding 173. Yes? What do you think? In the beginning of the year means? No. Including that 4. Including, I thought you were asking one more question. Including that what? 5 or 4? 4. My question now is, what if the incorporation only happened in April or something? From April you'll have 4 till December? Got it? Her question was, if you hold first meeting in sometime beginning 30 days, then should you hold 4? Not basically overall 4 meetings in a year. My one more question is, what if the company only got incorporated sometime in May? From May to December you'll hold 3 more? First you'll hold, 1st May you'll incorporate it, some 3rd May you'll have first board meeting. So will you have other thing? No, that same quarterly you should hold pro rata, right? Both the questions are like that. It is not 5 meetings, mind you, overall 4 meetings, right? Should I give notice always? Should I give notice always? What if in the meeting I'll discuss that next meeting will be June 30th? Should I give? Yes. Now secretarial practice will come. Yes, I should give. Notice cannot be dispensed with at any cost. Secretarial practice was there. SS1 they have actually inserted now anyway. So as per SS1, notice cannot be dispensed with. What if in the adjourned meeting, okay, should I give notice of adjourned meeting also? Yes. What if everyone came in the original meeting and they already discussed next meeting should be so and so date, still secretarial practice? You should give notice. So if you see, when can notice be dispensed with? Board resolution or articles may state that in future the board meetings will be held on a specified day, say the last Friday of every month, whatever it is, though this is the act is silent, but point number 2 will reign supreme. A notice shall be given even if the meetings are held on predetermined rates or predetermined intervals. You need to give as per SS1. Adjourn meeting also, notice of adjourn meeting shall be given to all directors including those who did not attend the meeting at the originally convened date. And unless the date of adjourned meeting is decided at the meeting, notice thereof shall be given not less than 7 days of the meeting. So as per SS1 they say, adjourned meeting if it's already decided, not needed, but here secretarial practice will come. Good secretarial practice demands that even though you have decided the date, it's better to at least send a reminder, notice, whatever. Good secretarial practice. As per the section, there is no concept of agenda, but SS1 567, the notice shall specify the serial number, date, day, time, full address of the venue of the meeting. Agenda setting out the business to be transacted at the meeting and notes on agenda shall be given to the directors at least 7 days before the date of the meeting, unless articles prescribe a longer period. Everything. Notes on items of business which are in nature of, okay, so agenda should set out everything. Agenda should set out everything 7 days before the meeting. Now tell me, in the agenda is discussion of who will replace VG Siddhartha. Should this be given 7 days before the meeting? When the meeting is called at a shorter duration, agenda also, don't you think so, can be given? Yes. So, notes on 7th point, notes on items of business which are in the nature of UPSI, unpublished price sensitive information, may be given at a shorter period of time than stated above, with the consent of majority of directors, which shall include at least one independent director. Should the agenda have all the items that I have to be discussing? Another way of asking is, can I discuss other than the items discussed in the agenda or mentioned in the agenda? Can I discuss some extra point? Earlier, in all board meetings there will be that dialogue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th or 7th point will be any other item with the permission of the chair. Chair means what? Chairman. You can't ask the chair, right? Chairman. Any other item with the permission of the chair. But that has been added, something has been added in SS1. Check it out, point number 8. Any item not included in the agenda may be taken up for consideration with the permission of the chairman and consent of the majority of directors present in the meeting, not of the company. MCQ. MCQ. Which shall include at least one independent. That fellow will come everywhere. Independent director. Here also is there, here also is there. Correct? Point number 7 is majority of the directors of the company. Similar to shorter notice. Point number 8 is majority of the directors present in the meeting. Right? Present in the meeting. Who can convene the meeting? Who can convene the meeting? Chairman shall convene, director shall convene, company secretary shall just follow the orders. Right? So if you see, whatever it is, page number 4.5, SS1 provides any director of the company may at any time summon a meeting. And the company secretary, or where there is no company secretary, person authorized by the board, the requisition of the director shall convene a meeting. Director may convene, on the orders of the director, company secretary shall convene in consultation with the chairman and all these things. So next part would remain what? Can the meeting be held on which day? Second, should the meeting be held in the registered office or any other place where registered office is situated? Can it be held in India, outside India? And what is the board general meeting provisions regarding that, all that? If there is informality in the meeting, the last part, informality in the meeting, should the meeting be formal? Or can I come in shorts and all that? Is it a proper board meeting? Like I'll show you one video just before we leave. This is this a valid board meeting, guys? Tell me. Whatever I'm going to show you now, is this a valid board meeting? Is this a valid board meeting?
From 9 a.m. to 10, I gotta get to this meeting. Get to work.
What do you think?
If Carlsberg did boardrooms, they would probably be the best in the world.
Carlsberg bottled water, right? What do you think? Yes. What do you think? Soda, or music CD, Royal Stag music CDs, right? So if you see, what do you think? If is it a valid board meeting? Informality, is it needed, or should you be formal? Informality in the meeting will not invalidate the meeting. Can be as informal as possible. Absolutely no issues, right? With that, so now after the break, what all we should discuss? We should discuss when can the board meeting be held? Should it be on national holiday? Can it be held other? Urgent meeting, when should you hold? I have to link it with shareholders. I have to compare that. And we haven't even discussed quorum. Quorum of board meeting. We have only done 2 sections since like almost 1.5 hours. Right? They have to do that's why I said these 3 sections is a mini cluster. Anything they can ask. Clear? Done. Take a lunch break. After that we shall meet. Thank you.